Welcome back, everybody. Today I'm going to start a video series on leatherworking. Some of my last videos have been extremely long, so I'm going to divide those up, break them down into shorter videos. First video is going to be making a pattern and laying it out on the leather. In these videos, I'm going to suggest tools that I think the first time user into leathercraft would get most benefit out of, instead of going out and buying a whole lot of stuff that you probably don't need if you're not sure if you want to actually get into leatherwork. Well, let's get started. So first off, you are going to need leather tools, right? You need a place to work on your leather project. I have built this table so that I can do my leather crafting. But I started doing leather crafting in a RV trailer on the kitchen table that was with that RV for multiple years. So first off, we're going to need to make a pattern. But what are we patterning? Well, you choose. This is your project, whatever leather mask that you want to make or wallet. I'm just going to focus on making a leather axe mask. I like using, find a new one. I like using these manila folders because they're easy to work with, they're plentiful, and they're not very expensive. But you can use cereal boxes, use whatever you'd like. So for this particular mask, I want to have a one piece that covers both the bit and the spike. How am I going to accomplish that? Well, we're going to figure it out. I'm going to take the manila envelope, try to center up where the fold would be here, and grab a pencil or a pen, your choice, and you're going to lay out your design. And this is just a rough design. I'm just laying out what the axe head looks like. Tools that I find helpful but not necessary would be a compass, so that you can find for your welt, say for your welt, I always leave about 1/2 inch, a little over so I have trim allowance, and I could mark that out easily with a compass. Not necessary, you can eyeball that, but very helpful. Now, I've got basically what my axe head looks like. What is my plan with this? So, if I'm thinking about it, I've already got the back side of the mask, but I want to have something for the front side. I know that that's going to come down, let's see. I'm just going to go ahead and label this the back real quick, so I know I'm keeping track of what I'm doing. And I want the mask to come around my handles here, eye parts here. I like using the bit itself to help shape what I'm going to do, if possible. That might be cool, but I'm going to need a flap as well. I'm going to need a flap that comes back over the top of that. So I'm going to kind of sketch in a flap. You make it yours. It's all what you want. So this is the back part. This is the flap that's going to fold over. I'm going to need a top part that actually folds over and encompasses and encloses the bit. So I'm just going to bring this up bring it over, and come back down with it. So after I cut it out and I fold it over, I get a better idea of the shape it's going to be in. And this can be a tricky part for me. Sometimes it takes trial and error, but you'll get it figured out. And like here, I think that might be a little too short. So I'm just going to come back over here and then come back out with this flap this way. And I think that's going to be my flap. Now I want this to be one solid piece. So laying the axe mask or the axe here, I'm then going to come and find out what my point's going to do, and I will make a flap coming off of that. Don't know exactly how that's going to lay over. Probably going to be tricky to get this done because of the thickness of the bit and the leather. So I'm going to make that oversized. So this is my mask here. You just get rid of that. I'm not going to be using that. Now you can use scissors, or staying with minimal tools. I mean, everybody's got scissors, but you're going to need a knife of some kind to cut leather. If you've got an X-Acto knife, works great. A blade like this also works great. I have moved to using this style where you can break it off and have a fresh blade. Having a fresh blade helps cut your leather and keep the edges clean. So I'm just going to cut this out and we'll get back with you. I said this is just a rough pattern. It's not set in stone per se. It's just giving you an idea of what you want to do. All right. Let's say this is my inside. And we'll keep this for other smaller patterns. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit, refine the shape, get all these lines out of here so we know kind of what we're looking at, and get back with you. Okay, I have refined that a little bit, and we got a better idea of what's going on here. So this is the back of the mask. This is the inside. It's going to be sitting on top of the bit. Hopefully y'all can see what I'm talking about. This top portion is going to fold over, and then we'll have a snap closure here that goes over it. Let's see if I can get this to line up. There we go. Like so. And then the back of it will fold over, and we'll sew that on somehow to keep it together. Kind of see where I'm going with that? It's kind of a tricky mask. Now, what are you going to put this mask on? Or what are you going to make the mask out of? You need leather. So when you're doing your pattern, when you're laying your pattern out, don't forget, so this is your smooth side, this is the finished side, and this is your flesh or your rough side. When you make your mask, you want the smooth side out. Well, if I were to lay it on here, smooth side would be in. So if I flip it, now my smooth side will be out. Now to mark this, you're going to need a small awl, something to This is a little scratch all. You can use it to rough up edges to apply glue, mark your pattern out, finish punching holes. But this is going to be the pattern. And if you're not sure exactly, you can always go to the back side, the flesh side, say, okay, yes, this is for sure the way it's going to be laid out, because this is the inside of the mask. I should label this the inside. My pencil go. So it's inside, inside. So you know exactly what you're working with. The worst thing you can do is lay it out there and not think 3 or 4 steps ahead and cut it out and have it inside out. So get this roughly where I want it. It's nice to have a little weight of some kind to hold it down. And then I'm just going to mark this with my scratch awl. Now, when you're using leather, you want, if any leather comes in contact with metal, you want to make sure you use veg tan leather. If you use chromium tanned leather or chrome tan leather, it will tarnish and help it, the chromium salts in it will eventually rust and tarnish your blade or any metal that comes in contact with it. So anything that you're using that metal goes against, use veg tan leather. You can use just natural veg tan leather and dye it yourself. That's just another process, more expense in the long run. I like using pre-dyed leather. I have dyed my own before, and while I can get certain colors that you can't get anywhere else, if I'm just going for a standard black or brown mask, I'd rather just use a standard leather that's already dyed. I really like using Wicket and Craig English bridal leather, or even Horween is nice. They have a really nice leather as well. So make sure you go all around this, mark everything out. One thing that's nice about the weight, yep, I've already marked this out. I know where it's at. If I didn't have the weight on there, it might move. So that's marked out. Don't know if we can see that. Hopefully you can. So far, recommended tools for sure: scratch awl, pencil, and some kind of knife to cut your leather out with, and your pattern. Lighting is extremely important. I don't have great lighting in this area, so I have to use other lighting sources to help out. But you'll figure out what you need and what works for you. You don't have to try and cut all the way through the first time. You can go through with multiple passes and it's still going to be relatively clean cut, as long as you're keeping the horizontal plane like straight up and down. You're going to come back and sand and burnish this anyway, so it's not a huge deal if it's not perfect. And it'll separate it. Now, one thing that I did not get on this was the welt. welt is fairly simple. You can make a pattern for your welt and cut it out if you want to, but what I found works pretty well. And these are another tool that are, I think, a must-have for doing leatherwork, and throughout the series of videos you'll find out why. Earlier I said I'm going to leave a little bit more than 1/2 inch for my welt. So I'm getting over here to my cutting mat, and I'm measuring out just over 1/2 inch. And I'm going to come over here to where I know I've got some scrap. It's going to be at least 1/2 inch. And I'm going to mark that. Let me show you how it marks a little bit nicer on the flesh side. There we go. Hopefully y'all can see that line. Dividers, extremely important. Come in very handy for multiple reasons during a leather project build. Something else you're going to want is a ruler, and you want to get a cork-backed ruler. I would suggest, if you're only going to get one, get at least an 18-inch ruler. Having multiple rulers doesn't hurt. You may even want to get, and I recommend getting a square. If I know that this corner is square, I can come off here and I know that this line is going to be square as well. But we've already marked it with the dividers off a square edge, so we know it's going to be right. But corked back ruler, so it's less likely to slide and it doesn't scratch up your leather. Kind of guesstimate how long that's going to be. Grab your knife. Make a few passes on that. Get a nice cut out of it. And you will have your welt. All right, so this is where we're at. I've got my axe. I know that this portion is going to lay over the top. Y'all can see that. This is going to come over the front. And then this is going to come over and snap in. So that is basically the first part of this multi-series tutorial, is just making a pattern and getting your leather cut out. Stay tuned. I will go into detail on every other process and the tools that I think that are needed for those steps in the upcoming videos. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.